Hello, what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to be using the Java Visualizer tool to walk through the author's implementation of the selection sort. So you can find that implementation in section 19.6 of the textbook. So if we go ahead and scroll on down, they've provided a selection sort implementation. It's called selection sort test.java file. And as we go through this in the visualizer tool, what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've stripped out this print pass method as we're going to be watching how it iterates through line by line using the visualizer tool. So if I go out into JGrasp, I've selected the code without the print pass method. So I'll just do a Control C on that. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and open up the visualizer tool. So again, you can find a link to the visualizer tool under the module 1 getting started. So I'll go ahead and click on that and link to it. And then what I need to do is I just need to delete this code and paste in the code that I copied over. And we will go ahead and visualize our execution. So what we're doing in this code is we're going to run through the selection sort. And in our main, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the secure random to go ahead and generate 6 random numbers between 10 and 90. And we're going to go ahead and store those into the array. Then we're going to print out the array, and then we're going to go ahead and call the selection sort method. And then after the array has been printed, we'll go ahead and print out the sorted array. So let's go ahead and visualize the execution. So, okay, so what we have here, we've jumped into our void main. So I will just go ahead, click on forward again. Now we're going to generate our unordered array, which we have here. We have 22, 47, 27, 47, 67, 56. So we do have a couple of numbers that are the same, but that will not change our walkthrough of this array. So let me just go ahead and click on forward again. And it's printed out our array down below. So now we're going to get into the meat of our selection sort. So we're going to loop over the array where data.length -1 elements. That's going to be our outer loop. So we'll loop through this array. So we'll just go ahead, click on forward. We'll set smallest. The index of smallest will be equal to I. Right now, I is equal to 0. So smallest is pointing to 22. So we'll click on forward. We'll drop down into our inner loop. And what we're going to do is we're going to loop through this to find the index of our smallest element. So we're just going to click on forward. Index is 1, smallest is 1. It does the comparison here. It's right now our smallest is actually at position 1. So this first inner loop, it'll just go ahead and drop through it. It'll check each one of the indexes of the array to see if that index value is less than what's stored in smallest. And it'll set that index equal to smallest. The first time through, nothing will happen. So what we've dropped down into our swap, we can go ahead and click on forward. The one thing that they could actually update the code here is if the index of I and smallest are equal, then you do not have to call the swap method, because what the swap method does is it just swaps the smallest with I, and then it changes the index of those two items. Since they're both equal to each other, in this case, basically, what the swap is not going to do anything. So we'll just run through it. We did not swap an item because 22 is currently our lowest item. So what we're going to do next is we're going to update I is equal to 1. So now I is pointing to 47. So it'll set our smallest equal to the index of I, which is 47. It'll drop down into our inner loop, and as you can see, it will go ahead and start at our index equals I plus 1 because we know that 22 is the smallest element in the array. So what it's going to do is it's going to check the rest of the elements in the array. So we'll just go ahead, click on forward. So now smallest is 1, index of 1. We're checking the index of 2, which is 27. So what should happen here is we should flip these around. So smallest should get set to our index pointing at number 2, which it does. So now smallest is pointing to 27. And we should be able to go through the rest of these since 27 is smaller than 47, 67, and 56. Nothing else should change in our inner loop as we iterate through it. It'll drop down to our swap. Now I is equal to 1 and smallest is equal to 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and swap those integers out. So we'll click on forward. The first thing we're going to do here is we're going to set our temporary equal to data first, which is 1. So we'll set temporary equal to 47. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to take our data second, which is the data found at index 2, which is 27, and we're going to place that in our data first, which is index number 1. So that will swap those out. So now we have 27 at positions 1 and 2. And the last step we need to do is we need to swap temporary into our data second. Temporary is 47, so it'll go ahead and swap those out. So we've completed that step iteration of the array. So we'll go ahead, we'll increment I to 2. We'll loop on through. 47 is at our lowest, so I don't think we're going to see any change with our smallest at all. So we'll go ahead, drop into our inside. That should just go ahead and loop through with our smallest equal to 2. It'll loop through index 4, index 5. It'll get to index 6. And again, this is one place where if they had a simple if check, we would not have to call this swap method, because we will not be swapping those values out. So I'll just go ahead and click on forward here as we walk those through really quick. Okay, we're going to go through, we're going to set up our index equals to 3. Again, this is a duplicate, so we should not see any changes to our array. We'll set smallest is now equal to I, which is 3. If we iterate through our inside array, as you can see, we're starting at index number 4. Again, we should not see any change to the index of smallest. And then again, we should not see any numbers actually being swapped out. Again, this is a spot where that if check would come in handy. Okay, so now we're going to go into I is equal to 4 now. So we're going to go ahead and set our smallest index equal to 4. So now we're actually going to see some a swap take place. So if we drop down into our next loop, I is 4, smallest is 4. So we'll drop on through. We'll set our index is equal to I plus 1, which is 5. So what we're going to be comparing is the value at index 4 to 5. And the value found at index number 5 is smaller when we go ahead and compare that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our smallest equals to index number 5. We'll do another forward, index is 6. It'll go ahead, drop on through, and now this is a viable swap. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and swap those two out. We'll set our temp gets passed in as our data first, which is 4. So temp will get set to 67. Then we will go ahead and set our data first equals to data second. So our data first is the index at 4, and we're going to set it equal to the data found in data second, which is 56. So what'll happen is the value at index 4 should get changed to 56. It does, and then what we're going to do is we're going to change our data found at second, which is index 5 to 67. So we'll go ahead, click on forward. That has changed. We'll click on forward again. We'll go ahead. Our index is 4. We'll go ahead, set index equal to 5. Basically, we're done with the loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on forward. And we'll go ahead and print out our array. Our array has now been sorted, so we should see our sorted array out. So this is just a quick little walkthrough of how you can actually visualize what's going on in the sort code. You can actually see it step by step and how the elements get moved around in that array until it's finally sorted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together another video that walks you through the insertion sort. So again, this visualizer tool comes in very handy when you want to see exactly what your code is doing in a line by line basis, especially in the case where we've actually created an array and we want to go ahead and sort that array.